Welcome back, True Seeker. In the news, the death of Magic Johnson's father. He lived to the age of 88, and because he lived so long, many people will not question his passing on March 8th. But I want to show you what is very suspicious about the day he died, 3-8, shortly after LeBron set the scoring record on the 38th day of the year at age 38, scoring 38 points, beating a record that stood for 38 years in 308 days, and a record that was set 38 weeks before LeBron was born. Of course, LeBron for the Lakers, like Kareem, who he passed, who used to play with Magic Johnson, who now loses his father on 3-8. But there's a lot more to this, too. And it seems to be a big clue for the upcoming NBA Finals, where in the Jewish practice of encoding numbers into words, gematria, finals equals 38. Again, this is the 76th NBA season, but the 77th pro basketball season. So again, 3-8. We write it 3/8 in the US. If you're new here, gematria comes from Kabbalah. Kabbalah has a book, the Book of Formation. It says on the opening page, God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. This practice goes back to Babylon. And you just take the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26. You just add up the letters of death. D is the fourth letter, E is the fifth, A is the first, T is the 20th, H is the 8th, death 38. We see this number all the time around death. Now, not only did he die on 3-8, but he also died 38 weeks and a day after his birthday. And notice his birthday is June 14th, which is the flag's birthday. And the flag was made in Philadelphia. Notice he also died, you could say, 267 days after his birthday. That's the Philadelphia area code, number that shows up all the time in rig sports with Philadelphia. Niners just stayed on 267 all-time road wins, losing to Philadelphia in the conference championship. There was a 267 that just played in the Super Bowl. I can't remember what it is now. The other night, the Warriors from Philly became 26-7 at home. The TNT doubleheader that night was the Warriors and the 76ers. Anyhow, he's got the flag's birthday that was born in Philly and now dead 267 days after his birthday. Come back to that. March 8th is also the 67th day of the year. You might notice the news about Tiger Woods' girlfriend broke that day. Her name in gematria equals 67. So does the word female in Jewish gematria. It's International Women's Day. But in this case, 67 is a number that's also connected to death over and over again. In gematria, blood sacrifice and human sacrifice equate to 67 when you take the alphabetic order and just use numerology. So B's the second letter, so B's worth 2. Where it gets different is L's the 12th letter, but you take the numerology at L, 12, which is 1 plus 2 is 3. So L becomes 3 in that cipher. O, the 15th letter, becomes 1 plus 5 is 6. Again, it's just elementary math, but blood sacrifice and human sacrifice, 67. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, king is 67. And we talked about this in a big way when LeBron first signed with the Lakers. Remember, he went to the Lakers on 7-1, a date that can also be written 1/7 like 17, where NBA 17 coming over from Ohio, the 17th state. And like I said that day, he will win the Lakers their 17th championship in his 17th season. Exactly what he did. And right after we talked about that, you had the deaths of 2 former UCLA players. Billy Knight, notice, born William Knight, whose name equals 67, dead right after LeBron signs. And then you had Tyler Honeycutt, who died on July 6th, which can also be written 6-7. And keep in mind, he was the 35th pick of the draft, where King James is 35. 2 UCLA players dropped dead within days of LeBron signing with the Lakers. But again, the number we focused on in both of those was 67 in connection to the King, LeBron, King James. And now, this big death on the 67th day of the year, 3-8, after LeBron sets the scoring record in a huge 38 ritual. So, from Magic's birthday to the death of his father, 206 days. In Jewish gematria, sacrifice 206. We've seen this many times before. And Notice the NBA season began on October 18th, which in 2019 was Event 201. If you don't know what Event 201 is, look it up. It was the pandemic simulation 1 month before the pandemic. Pretty much everyone connected to the pandemic was Agent 201. But notice, Irvin Johnson Sr., 201, right? The season began on the anniversary of Event 201. He died 20 weeks and 1 day after the season began. 201. Irvin Johnson Sr., 201. If you're new here, 201 is the number of the Jesuits. If you don't know who the Jesuits are, they served the Roman Catholic Church. They were created in the 16th century in response to the Protestant Reformation. It brought Catholicism and Judaism together. We've been talking about this a lot ever since Kobe died at age 41 on the Pope's 41st day of his age while traveling from Catholic Mass. And then they buried him in Corona del Mar as coronavirus was kicking off. And from Kobe's birthday, his last birthday, to the day the pandemic was declared on March 11th was 201 days. Remember, he also had the big China Lake earthquake not long before that. That was 201 days before the first case of COVID was confirmed in the U.S. Big number here that we talk about a lot. So 20 weeks and 1 day after the season began, Irvin Johnson Sr. is dead. And keep in mind, he died a year and 2 days after the new HBO show came out. Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty. Speaking of the Jesuits, that show begins on November 5th. She puts the date up on the screen, November 5th. Supposedly that's the day that Magic Johnson found out he had HIV. November 5th is a very special day to the Jesuits. It's Guy Fawkes Day. It's the day they tried to blow up British Parliament. The mask from V for Vendetta that the anonymous people wear, that's the Guy Fawkes mask. If you've never seen V for Vendetta, November 5th is the day in that as well. But that's the day leaving 56 days left in the year. Magic Johnson equals 56. So does Society of Jesus. So does HBO. HBO stands for Home Box Office. Home Box Office equals Jesuit Order. Again, if you haven't seen the show, I've seen some of the episodes. Starts talking a lot about his family. A lot to do with Magic Johnson's family. So just after the 1 year anniversary, Dad's gone. And Magic waited to tweet about this until March 9th. I'll say why that matters. But, well, it is the 68th day of the year. Basketball does equal 68. He played at Michigan State Spartans. Remember, they just had the mass shooting on the 44th day of the year, the same day the U.S. military began in a joint participation drill with the Greek military when Spartans are Greek. Military equals 44, shooting 44. Also, in light of his father dying at age 88, here's what stands out about it. Again, if you're new here, Gematria, it's the alphabetic order forwards and backwards with numerology. So the NBA, David Stern was blank. Adam Silver is blank. Most of the owners are blank. Again, the Jesuits are a Catholic Jewish alliance. When Kobe died, shockingly, that was the 74th NBA season. And in that same cipher where Jewish equals 74, so does Jesus, so does cross, so does Messiah, so does gospel, so does parables. Jesus spoke in parables. Story of Jesus' life is the gospel. But Kobe equals 33. Like Jesus on the cross at 33. Kobe Bryant equals 41. Crucifix equals 41. Dead on the Pope's 41st day of his age while traveling from Catholic Mass. Who do they say crucified Jesus? You know what I mean? Jesus' complexion in the Bible only described in Revelation 1:14, and it's that of a darker complected person. Anyhow, Kobe was a clear, I call them Jesus rituals. They do them to rappers all the time. And we know who runs the rap game as well. There was a movie made about it. Ice Cube has a song about it, No Vaseline. But anyway, if you use numerology, Jewish is 29. From LeBron setting the point record in a huge 38 ritual to the death is 29 days later. His dad's dead at 88, and his dad's dead on a 34-date numerology. I'm just saying. And don't forget, when Kobe died at 41, LeBron won the finals exactly 41 weeks after his birthday. For the record, the word king equals 41 when you run it forwards, 67 when you run it in reverse. So I wanted to go back and see what finals it was where Magic Johnson was MVP when they beat Philly. I knew that happened in history. Funny enough, it was 1980. 1980. Now, what happened in 1980 with Philadelphia sports? Again, I got to remind you that The father passed 267 days after his birthday. That's the Philadelphia area code. Philadelphia is the roots of American basketball, in a sense, pro basketball, I should say, because they won the first ever championship. If you didn't know that, the Philadelphia Warriors won the first ever pro basketball championship. Don't forget, Kobe's dad was drafted by the Warriors, and then Kobe retired 41 years later and came off the court with 4.1 seconds on the clock. Just like when they took LeBron out in his big 38 ritual, there were 3.8 seconds on the clock, right? And it's so fun. It's so funny that so many people are on this now. People are making their own videos, and like YouTubers I never talked to are now sharing this work. But I remember when I first started this, nobody else was doing this in the world. You guys, I would show how they would pause the clock for rituals. All the comment section would be like, "You sound like some crazy conspiracy theorist schizo." But now people are finally catching on that it's not some conspiracy theory schizo. This is what they're doing day after day. It's just like when the Philadelphia scorekeeper died. The picture they put up of him in the media was like how many days he had a T-shirt on with how many days he'd been the scorekeeper, and it was just some huge long period of days. I can't remember; it was a massive number because he was the scorekeeper for years and years and years. I think from the inception of the 76ers franchise. But then when he died, they put up that picture of him with that shirt, and it said, "Who's counting?" And again, it didn't answer who's counting, but again, I'm showing you who's counting. This comes from Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah. So anyway, 1980, Philadelphia. They went to 4 championships that year in 1980. This year, they've gone to the World Series. They've gone to the MLS championship. And funny enough, they lost the World Series and the MLS championship on November 5th. They lost the Super Bowl. Could Philadelphia make it to a 4th championship? There were 2 teams in the league that were on 38 wins at the All-Star break. You might want to look into what teams those were. Again, finals equals 38. So 1980, Hall of Famers from that Lakers team: Kareem, Spencer Haywood, Magic Johnson, Jamal Wilkes, and Magic Johnson was MVP of that. 76ers had Maurice Cheeks, Julius Erving, and Bobby Jones. Strangely enough, from the death date of Irvin Johnson Sr. to the start date of the finals, June 1st, a span of 86 days. The first year they used the NBA Finals as the name for the basketball championship was 86. That was the year Len Bias got 86. And again, we talked about him dying on the 67th day of the year. If you run it in reverse, blood sacrifice 67 forwards, 86 in reverse, just like human sacrifice. 67, 86. Len Bias died that year 213 days after his birthday. The NBA Finals equals 213. This year, the finals begin on the day, leaving 213 days left in the year. The last time the finals began on that day, LeBron was in them with the Cavs, and he hadn't moved to, well, he wasn't playing for LA yet, but you might recall LA's the 213 area code, like how the Rams won the Super Bowl on 213 in Super Bowl 56. But that year, LeBron did really bad in the finals, and they said the reason why was because somebody spray painted the N-word on his house right before the finals began on the day leaving 213 days in the 213 area code. He had a property out there. Now they've turned that into the House Party movie. So still got to check that one out. But yeah, you guys, I mean, this knowledge, it allows you to see through what's really going on in these demented leagues, allows you to pad your pockets. Yesterday was another nice pocket padding day. Again, familiar patterns. For those of you guys who've actually been around and continue on the fence, seriously, like for those of you guys who are still on the fence, I bet you still know. What's the New York number, you guys? What's the New York number? I've thought about it a gazillion times in a gazillion free videos with 39. It's paid big dividends this week twice. Charlotte just was a 10-point underdog the other day. But you see how the Kings picked up their 39th win over New York last night? There was a few other things that looked nice for the Kings as well, but just we call New York the land of 39. New York equals 39. So does Charlotte. The other night, Charlotte was a 10-point dog versus the Knicks. Beat them. Kept the Knicks on 39 wins against Charlotte. Then they go into the Kings game. Kings pick up the 39th win. Milwaukee equals 37. Nets stay on 37 wins after getting blown out in the first quarter where Milwaukee scores 37 points. Milwaukee 37 keeps the Nets on 37. Memphis equals 34. Warriors stay on 34 wins against Memphis as Memphis picks up their 39th win on 3-9. The Jazz keep the Magic on 27 wins. Sometimes you have to look a game ahead. The Magic play Miami next. Miami equals 27. They're going to go into Miami with 27 wins. They picked up their 19th home loss on the 19-date numerology. The Pacers picked up their 19th home win on the 19-date numerology. Hornets-Pistons game was definitely iffy, but we saw in the conference, sometimes you got to look at the conference standings. Pistons in 31. It's been like a perfect pattern this year. The Hornets stayed on 31 conference losses. Pistons 31. They became 13-31 in the conference. And I mean, just look at the games this week with the Pistons. All this stuff is pattern recognition, understanding the code, and seeing through the rituals day after day. This was a nice one right here. Nuggets 30, Chicago 46. Nice big upset. Suns equals 35. Now with number 35, Kevin Durant beating his old team, giving them their 35th loss. Raptors equals 35. Clippers, 35th win over the Raptors. You know what I mean? Pelicans, best number with the Pelicans all year, 34. Mavericks get upset, staying on 34 wins against the Pelicans. See what I mean? LeBron, teams play each other. LeBron James, 42. King James, 35. You see? You see how it works? Anyway, I want to go back to the other Pistons game. Wizards pick up the 31st win over the Pistons. The night before that, again, I'm just telling you, recognizing patterns. I think the Blazers played the Pistons the night before. Blazers pick up the 31st win over the Pistons. See how it goes? Gematria. A decade straight. Showing you how the games are rigged, the ritual murders coincide, how sick it all is. How about the racial shaming? Let's close out with the racial shaming. Another thing we've been talking about for a decade. Sean Kemp arrested for a drive-by shooting? Really? On 3-8? What do you think Sean Kemp's name equals getting arrested on 3-8 for the drive-by shooting? Sean Kemp, 38. Arrested in Pierce County. Pierce, 38. That was the 67th day of the year, which is the 19th prime. Of course, Sean Kemp's remembered for playing for the Seattle Supersonics with Gary the Glove Payton. Again, racial shaming code. The 102 code, slavery and the N-word are 102 last year. The mass shooting in the Underground Railroad on the 102nd day of the year, the anniversary of the start of the American Civil War. They blamed it on a black man. Slavery 102 like the N-word again. But yeah, you guys, you just learn the code. You see through the headlines day after day. Highly doubt Sean Kemp has anything to do with any drive-by shooting. Last time I checked, Sean Kemp was doing all right. Runs a bar up in Seattle. It's just what they do, man. It's the part of the contract. Here, you want to be a rich celebrity, play a nice lucrative career. We're going to use you in some headlines. In our papers, we control to keep perpetuating those stereotypes. Sean Kemp can't even control himself in his 50s. But yeah, you guys, the league is rigged. Join us on Patreon. We break down the games every day, lead people to fatter wallets day after day. College basketball, big patterns we followed yesterday that dominated all over the place. Love those Jesuit schools, man. Those Jesuit schools pay dividends. But again, yeah, join us. Again, I only charge $5 a month, you guys. I got callers that call in all the time that say I should charge more. I just keep it at $5 a month so even the poorest people can afford it. And again, it's all about helping people come on up. So we'll be doing March Madness. That's included in the $5 fee. We'll be going heavy on March Madness again. March Madness year after year. There's always some big dogs that have a nice big payout. We'll see if we can call the winner again from the start. But yeah, that's all for now. RIP to Irvin Johnson Sr. So, and by the way, you guys, GematriaEffect.news is the website. You want a calculator that works on your smartphone that's free, that works offline without an internet connection, come to my website, GematriaEffect.news. Click the calculator tab. You can download the app for Apple, iPhone, or Android phones. And also, Just a heads up, the merch, I don't have a lot of merch, but if you want it, now's the best time ever to get it. It's the first time ever there's free shipping. It only lasts for a limited time. But that's the one problem with this whole merch thing. They charge so much for shipping, but it is free right now. So if you want to check that out, it's also there. And yeah, for the rest of you guys, I'll see you on the Patreon, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. We're also doing the financial group now, trying to take advantage of the market in turbulent times. Till next time, Truth Seeker.